They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now this time, we will finally take a look at the Dark Flash. Now this is a Walmart exclusive that a lot of people did have a hard time tracking down. Luckily, I did grab 3 of these figures because my first thought was to army build this one, but now these have really been hard to come by. The cool thing is eventually we know that there will be a standard release, which will probably be different versions of this figure, and then maybe we might get a 3-pack somewhere down the road. Now this guy actually looks pretty rotting in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at it. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now these are not really needed, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, you do have an image of the 3 different versions that will eventually be released by McFarlane. And on the back, you do have some information. Pretty cool. We'll add this to the collection. Now, I don't know a lot about this character, but I do know that this is not necessarily Wally West or Barry Allen in an undead form. This is actually an entity that is created by the Speed Force energy, actually just its own creature, but eventually it does chase down everyone that uses the Speed Force. Pretty interesting, pretty creepy little detail there for this character. Now he does come with 2 Speed Force effects. As always, I don't really use these, but you never know, you might need them to take pictures or for adding effects to your display, but I usually just put these into a box with the rest of them. But always appreciated from McFarlane. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at this guy. Now, right off the bat, first thing I would say is this is what I've been expecting from McFarlane since he picked up the license. This is really suited to McFarlane's style, is a lot of like creepy undead things. That's, right in his wheelhouse. So finally glad to get more figures that are traditionally more linked to McFarlane, which is like creatures and undead things. But of course we know he has a wide range of characters that he's good at. But me, I'm actually a collector of like undead things or like monsters and stuff like that. So I really appreciate this take on a speedster character. Now in the comics, this guy is actually like multiplied. There's a lot of images of hundreds of these chasing down the speedsters, which is why I had thought to army build these at first. But now we might have to wait until the later releases that are sure to come from McFarlane. But all in all, really nice design. Really love the detailed sculpt work. And once again, the different textures and sculptures that are on the suit. Let's take a look at the head sculpt. Pretty nice zombie take on a Flash character. Now I actually love these like wings that are on his head. I wish they would have used these for like other characters. But now McFarlane has these, in his toolbox to use in the future. Have gotten a lot of speedster characters recently. I think they're up to like almost 20, which is pretty interesting for a line that people complain that it's pure Batman, which is really a stigma against McFarlane that is not true at all. Although it is a Batman heavy line, there has been tons of characters released ranging from all different versions of DC characters. So that is a pretty big misconception. But love this head sculpt. The detail is awesome. Everything is sculpted out really nicely. And even there's like little different textures and wrinkles like in the mask that, it could be just a smooth mask and it actually has little like dimples and little sculpted out details that you just do not see on a lot of toy lines. Really awesome head sculpt there for an undead zombie character. Let's take a look at the articulation. He does look down really well. Now I heard someone say that the head articulation is really restricted, especially looking up, but this guy looks up really well. I don't know what their problem was or if they just needed to like warm it up, but without any kind of alterations or anything, he looks up really well, which will help in running poses. He does have right to left. And of course you can cock his head for some different character. All in all, awesome head articulation. Now, taking a look at this suit, I really love the design of the flash emblem and the way it like sits on the chest. Just looks really cool. And then the black that they used for this figure, it's just like a really, like has a gloss to it, but it also has like a satin finish, which is just awesome. You can see the different like textures and different little lines and sculpting that they did, which separates the suit and makes it a little bit more than just one solid sculpt to the suit. It actually has different depths. Pretty awesome. Let's take a look at the waist articulation. You do have side to side. You have that full tilt-a-whirl at the waist. You have a lower waist swivel, upper chest swivel, and surprisingly, this guy has an awesome crunch where that upper chest actually almost touches the top of the trunks. So really nice crunch there, and of course, he'll lean back for some awesome posing. Pretty cool waist articulation. Now you can twist them to get them in some really specific poses. Really articulated waist there from McFarlane. Now let's take a look at the shoulder. Of course, he does have that socket bushing kind of shoulder, but I do see a little bit different notches cut out for more movement. You do have up and down, front to back, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. Kind of choppy, but not exactly. It just depends at what angle you have it. Starting at the shoulder, this is what I'm talking about. You have a little bit of different sculpted out grain in the shoulder, and then it moves into the sculpted out work on the zombie arm, into some pretty nice gold gauntlets. And something I really love about this figure, those sculpted out ball joints are just perfect. Like it just completely flows into the actual hand and it doesn't break up at all. You still have the 4 ways of articulation. Wrist joint is just beautiful. Perfect, actually. And on the other side, of course, you have the same thing. Have some like ghastly kind of chasing, grasping hands, which is perfect for this figure. Now you can get them, of course, in a T-pose. And like I said, they have these cutouts now where you can actually get it a little bit higher, more like a Y pose. And those little cutouts actually help for when you put his arms above his head. They actually fit into those cutouts and you could get the hands really close to touching. Awesome, awesome articulation there. Let's go down and take a look at the thigh swivel. It is there, which means that you could use it to twist the foot without one of those ugly thigh cuts that just breaks up the sculpt. He does kick up really high, and he also kicks back pretty high. Now do not worry, the trunks go back to their original form once you put them back the way it was. He can cock out his knee, and he has that cool hip swivel, double jointed knees, straighten them out, up and down at the ankle, right to left, rocker, and of course toe articulation. Now before we go, let's take a full look at the lower body. As I said before, just awesome sculpt work. All the little wrinkles in the suit, the boot cut, the way it goes down into that sculpted out ankle ball joints and into the boots is just perfect. Perfect silhouette for an action figure. There is no breakup in the crotch area, which gives it a lot of cool clean lines. And this figure was just made for posing. I'm getting that feel just right away just by looking at him. Pretty cool. Let's take a look at the bottom. No tread, but he does have some identifying marks. Moving up the back, more of that beautiful sculpt work. Tons of little details in the suit that you could miss on a first glance, but they are there. And of course they have these cutouts now where you could really get some range moving the arms wide and back. And of course the back sculpt is just perfect. And then he has like this cool like suit design right on the back of his neck that goes up into the mask. And these are just things that you know these are just details that could be like glossed over, but that are really, really a cool point of added detail with these figures. Man, all in all, this is an awesome figure. Love me some undead cool stuff. Easy to stand. Ready to get him in a lot of different poses. Of course, you can get him in running poses. You could get him in chasing poses. He is kind of ghoulish where any way you put the arms, it looks like, you know, he's coming at you as a undead zombie, which is pretty awesome. But before we go, let's go ahead and do some comparisons. Let's put him up next to first my repainted Wally West. Looks pretty good right next to this Speedster. Let's put him up next to one of my favorite Speedsters that they've done, my repainted Godspeed. Another beautiful, beautiful sculpted out figure with clean lines and awesome articulation. And finally, let's put him up next to my redone Reverse Flash. Some Throng action. And these guys look pretty good standing next to each other. Now, I'm actually really impressed with this figure. He's awesome. Tons of fun to articulate, tons of fun to pose, and hopefully in the future we'll get some different releases of this exact figure. But you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.